Welcome to the candidate forum hosted by the League of Women Voters of DeKalb County in partnership with WNIJ. My name is Jan Dorner, and I'm from the League of Women Voters of Elmhurst. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for any office. The League's purpose is to promote political responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government. Providing this forum allows citizens to become better informed about the issues facing their community and to become better acquainted with the candidates running for office. We are happy to provide this service for the community. The League of Women Voters is not responsible for verifying the accuracy of the statements that candidates make in this forum. Questions from the League and community members have been collected before this forum and were screened for duplication, clarity, and appropriateness to the office being discussed. The candidates have not been provided the questions before this forum. The candidates agreed in the ground rules that no voice, image, or other duplication of the forum may be used by any candidate's representative or campaign in any campaign advertising. This forum is available on several different WNIJ platforms, including Facebook Live. I've been asked to announce that WNIJ reserves the right to mute comments from persons who do not follow the WNIJ social media policy. This forum is among the two candidates seeking the position of Illinois State Representative for District 76. By participating in this forum, all candidates have agreed to abide by the rules set forth prior to this forum. Each candidate will present a 1-minute introductory statement, the order set alphabetically by last name. Then questions will be asked, and each candidate will have up to 1 minute to respond in alternating order. Closing statements will be 1 minute as well. An electronic timer will be used, and candidates will strictly adhere to the time limits. Candidates, when the timer reaches 0, you may finish your sentence, but then you must stop. Our candidates tonight are Jason Haskell and Lance Yednock. Candidates, would you please turn on your microphone and your video? Great to see you. Thank you. So let's start with Jason Haskell. Your opening statement, you have 1 minute.
Well, first of all, thank you to the League of Women Voters for inviting us out to have civil discourse. And, it's something that's lacking in our country to where, opposing figures can get together and have civil discourse about the issues at hand. My name is Jason Haskell. I'm a proud father of 3 amazing, caring kids, loyal, loving companion to the love of my life. I'm a senior construction manager where I love what I do every day. I'm putting that all aside because Springfield is broken and I want to help fix it. So.
Thank you. Lance Yednock, your opening statement. You have 1 minute.
Thank you, Jan. I want to thank the League of Women Voters also in DeKalb for having us today. My name is Lance Yednock. I am the current representative for the 76th District. I'm a lifelong resident of Ottawa, where I live with my wonderful wife, Dina, and my rescue dog, Finley. I work in the private sector as a business agent for the Heavy Equipment Operating Engineers Local 150. As the representative of the 76th District, I worked hard to understand our communities and that I serve and try to reflect those values in Springfield. Redistricting is definitely challenging and exciting as I get to be reacquainted with DeKalb, where I attended and graduated from NIU many years ago. So much has changed in 30 years after being there. Every community has had their own personalities, and the needs of my job as a representative is to go out and listen to people and find out what concerns they have and try addressing them in Springfield. And again, I want to thank you for having us and letting us exchange ideas tonight.
Thank you. We'll start with candidate Yednock. You have the first question. What experiences have you had that you feel uniquely qualifies you for the office of state representative for Illinois 76?
Well, I would say, first of all, being in office for the last 2 terms has helped me learn a lot more about how the gears of government work. It has opened up my eyes to a lot of different communities and the concerns of so many other people in this state. I was educated 30 some years ago. Luckily enough, I got to go to the university, and it really expanded my view of how the world is, because coming from a very rural area like I live in, I wasn't exposed to a lot of the issues that concern other people. But being down there in Springfield has been the best medicine for me. Just learning that the world is much bigger than my own four walls, and understanding that sometimes we have to help people in other communities. And that's the most important thing to me about being in government, and why I think I should be representative.
Thank you. Candidate Haskell, the same question.
Well, I don't have the experience that Lance has, that's for sure. 2 terms down in Springfield. So what I do bring to the table is in construction, I'm responsible for the budgets that we create on projects, and we're given a blueprint. Basically, an owner tells us, this is what we want, and this is how much we want to spend, which I would equate that to the governor setting the agenda and then leaving it to the legislator to get that agenda basically funded. With that being said, very good at what I do in construction with blueprints and estimating costs and creating budgets and sticking true to those budgets. And I think that experience alone will help get us on the right track fiscally for the state of Illinois.
Thank you. Candidate Haskell, given the polarized climate and increasing threats that elected officials face, what experiences or issues compelled you to run for political office?
You know, like I said in my opening statement, Springfield it's a mess right now. We've been doing the same thing over and over and over again for decades, and it's proven not to work. We haven't had people in office that want to take on the elephant in the room, which is, you know, our pension crisis. It is the sole reason we are in such a mess fiscally in the state. And until we get that under control, we can't really progress for the future generations.
Thank you. Candidate Yednock, same question.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Given the polarized climate and increased threats that elected officials face, what experiences or issues compelled you to run for political office?
I can say this with all humility. I'm probably one of the most even-keeled, middle-of-the-road people you'll ever meet. If I had a project whatsoever by being in Springfield, other than representing my communities, it would be to try to get us to work across the aisle. I have had some bipartisan legislation quite a bit, and even my first term, the few bills that I got through, many of my colleagues said, "How did you do that?" And I said, by crossing the aisle and talking to my colleagues on the other side and saying, "I would like to have your vote on this. This is something good for your community as well as mine." And that's what I continue to do. I don't try to say I have a stock ideology. I just try to work across the aisle and get solutions for everybody.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Candidate Yednock, what are the top 3 legislative issues you wish to address if you are elected?
Well, in our communities down here in the 76, we always feel like we're left out of the resources in the state. Constituents sometimes have to drive 30 minutes or more to go to a hospital. We have an aging population, and we're concerned about losing access for them to hospitals if they close. And also, we need more supports for elderly care. We definitely have an aging infrastructure here in the 76th district. Our broadband, you can see tonight, sometimes it's a little bit hard to get through on the wireless internet. These are some of the major issues that I have been working on. Most importantly, though, for me, is just to be at the table when we're doing the budget. I want to make sure that downstate is receiving its fair resources. I want to make sure that we're ensuring that we spend money wisely on all the programs that will benefit all of our communities.
Thank you. Candidate Haskell, your top 3 legislative issues.
Number 1 is safer streets. We saw legislation pass, the Safety Act. We need to get that repealed. So that's number 1 on the list. And that's not just myself. 100 out of the 102 state's attorneys in Illinois agree with that the Safety Act needs to be repealed. So safer streets, the war against our police officers needs to stop. The second item would be responsible spending. Lance had mentioned that. I completely agree with that. We need responsible spending. And then the last thing would be government transparency. We've seen the corruption in our politics, create such a distrust in our elected officials, and we really need to open up transparency as to how we do things down in Springfield.
Thank you. Candidate Haskell, what will you do to reach out to other members of the legislature, both in and out of your party, to improve collaboration and reach solutions that are in the best interest of residents of Illinois 76?
Well, I work with all types of personalities in the construction industry, and I work well with everybody. I don't see myself as a partisan Republican. I see myself as someone that would have no issues at least asking the other side if we could work together. And that's the problem that we have in Springfield. We've got a super majority imbalance of power, and people on my side of the aisle, we can't reach across the aisle because we don't have any numbers to be able to talk civilly on the items. So yeah, that's where. Yeah.
Thank you. Candidate Yednock?
Well, I've been a proven leader in that. Most of my bills have been bipartisan. I spend a lot of time getting to know people on my side of the aisle and the people on the other side of the aisle and what concerns their districts. I've gotten some people to vote for many of my bills that a lot of people, if I'm not taking the time to explain to them how it may benefit their constituents as well as mine, that they probably wouldn't vote for it. I would say that what we do have is too many people in the legislature that do only follow an ideology, and they will vote in lockstep. I think that my friends on the other side of the aisle many times only vote their party line, and they get all the benefits of people like me taking the hard. This is a very 50-50 district. It swings back and forth, so it's so important that we go out, talk to our constituents, have an open mind about what's important to them, and vote accordingly.
Thank you. Candidate Yednock? Do you support or oppose legislation to create an independent redistricting advisory commission that could hold hearings, collect community input, and draw maps to recommend to lawmakers? Please explain your answer.
I would support it. I still don't know that independent redistricting commissions, I don't think the proof that we've seen across the United States when they call them independent are really independent, because they're still made up of people that have their own background, their ideology, their experiences. I am certainly not against having an independent commission or some way that you can truly draw a fair map. I would love to see, a bill like that be explained to me, how that was going to really lead to maybe less polarization and more fairness in elections. I wouldn't oppose it. I just don't know that any state that calls themselves an independent redistricting state has shown that it stops us to have, separate districts like we do.
Thank you. Candidate Haskell?
Yeah, absolutely. To me, it seems like a common sense approach to redistricting to get the partisan out of it. I mean, especially with the latest redistrict maps, that really doesn't do anything for constituents. When the elected officials have the opportunity to create their own districts based off of the voter turnout and the party turnout. I definitely agree that an independent commission should be put together. It would give a unbiased suggestion for legislators to at least start debate on, and that's what we need. We need great ideas for the legislator to actually debate items. So I do support it for sure.
Thank you. Candidate Haskell, severe weather conditions, including drought, flooding, and tornadoes, have disrupted life in Illinois. Do you support climate change mitigations for Illinois? If so, what initiatives do you support? If not, please explain why not.
I wouldn't say that we have, necessarily a climate issue. I'm not a scientist either, but I can observe, and I've seen that the seasons are still fall, winter, spring, summer. Yes, we've had some horrific tragedies and severe weather, but creating Illinois is not a business friendly state as it is right now, and putting in climate change initiatives. When Governor Pritzker put in the Clean Energy Act in his first year in office, it shut down a power plant in Hennepin, Illinois, which is no longer in the 76th district, but it was in the 76th district, and many people lost their jobs, and they were unemployed for a long time, and that's the opposite direction Illinois needs to go.
Thank you. Candidate Yednock, same question.
I do support clean energy policies. I did support the Clean Energy Jobs Act. I think we do need to have a cleaner and greener environment. Climate change is real, whether you believe it's from man-made or just something else. It doesn't matter. We are in the midst of a climate change. But I also think that we have to understand that we need nuclear. We need to invest in and explore technology like hydrogen technology, and we still need to use gas and coal until we get the transition so people will accept the policies of wind, solar, and other forms of green energy. I would take issue with the statement of Hennepin closing because of the Clean Energy Jobs Act. That was before those things were put into motion, and it was very heart-wrenching for me. I was there the day they had to close that, and I would say I always want to make sure that all the policies that we do takes into account that there are going to be some trade-offs.
Thank you. Candidate Yednock, what is your position on state rental and mortgage assistance for individuals, families, and landlords, and incentives for developers and landlords to create more affordable housing?
Oh, I believe that those are good policies. We can always means test and make sure that people actually need to have rental assistance, mortgage assistance. We want people to be in housing. When they have a stable place to live, our outcomes are better. It's better for our children. As long as we make sure that we are spending the money wisely and we're helping people, helping them make sure that they have a safe and dry place to live. Incentives towards more affordable housing, I think are good policies, but with any policy, I have to look at it to make sure that it is actually working the way it's supposed to. I think there are plenty of stories of us trying to do that in other states and it becoming a bit of a boondoggle. So if it's done thoughtfully and carefully, I think that it's a position we could use. I think we could use more of that in our district.
Thank you. Candidate Haskell, same question.
Yeah, I agree with Lance on a lot of what he said. That it shows, anything that you can do to create a public-private partnership to create affordable living for those that are on fixed income or low income or, handicap, ADA accessible, whatever means it is, or reason why that assistance is needed. Absolutely. Anytime that you can create a joint partnership, I definitely support that for sure.
Thank you. Candidate Haskell. State legislatures are constitutionally responsible for setting up elections. What, if any, changes to the election process do you think should be made in Illinois?
Well, that's a tough one because we've got communities that are a handful of people, and you could easily do a paper ballot and count them all in 20 seconds. But then you have cities like Chicago where it takes a long time. So you need the technology, how things have been done seem to have worked. I don't like the idea of going to a permanent mail-in ballot solution. I think that anything that needs to be done, we need to make it easier and fairer for the elections and also safety. And we need to make sure that the elections are safe. So.
Thank you. Candidate Yednock, same question.
Jen, would you repeat that again?
Sure. State legislatures are constitutionally responsible for setting up elections. What, if any, changes to the election process do you think should be made in Illinois? Well,
we've done some good things in the last couple of years. I mean, what we did is we made it so you could do more early voting, that you could use drop boxes, and absentee voting is making it easier. Anything that we can do in order to have more people have access, to have more people actually exercise their right to vote, I think is just the way we should do it. We'd really know what policies are popular and work if we had the majority of the people that can actually vote. So any sort of access we can have to make it better. And we also have to be careful too. When we have county clerks or other people that are trying to do malfeasance in elections, they should be prosecuted. We have to make sure that our county clerks and our county systems have enough resources and help in order to have them run fairly and openly. But we certainly want to prosecute those that aren't following the law.
Thank you. Candidate Yednock. The state's ongoing problem with funding the pension system, although improving, is one of the worst in the nation. What is your plan for fixing this decades-old problem?
Well, a decades-old problem is not going to be solved overnight. I believe that a pension is a promise, and if you earn your pension, you should be able to live on that. We have taken steps before I was in the legislature, namely with the Tier 2 pension system, which will be, unfortunately, it's going to be lower. You'll have to work longer, you'll have to put more in, and you'll probably not have as much benefit to it in the long run. And that's one of the measures we have taken. We're paying in and above our normal cost each year to try to catch up on the ramp. I think those were policies that weren't very good, but this is the spot that we're in. We have to pay those pensions off. We have to make sure those who have earned their pensions receive the fair and just amount that they were promised when they came to work for the government. And so I can just say, as our economy grows, we'll have to keep putting more and more into those to catch up. And there will be an actuarial time where we will break that even.
Thank you. Candidate Haskell, same question.
Well, I'll start off by saying that Illinois never really had a revenue problem. We've always had a spending problem, and that spending problem has increased, and that revenue problem has started to skyrocket exponentially with people leaving the state. So until, like I said in my opening statement, until we get after the pension crisis and figure out how we can solve that. And I think that starts by not celebrating $46 billion state budget. I think that we take a look, at the zero-based budget, create a plan and put a cost towards that plan. I mean, to me, that's a common sense way of doing things. We like I said, we've done it one way for decades, and it hasn't worked. And now we got people that want to come into a position that actually want to make a difference by doing something different. And we just need everybody to get on board with that.
Thank you. Candidate Haskell, what role should the Illinois legislature play in keeping our citizens safe and promoting gun violence prevention?
Well, the state of Illinois, we've got the gun regulations in place already. But what's stopping the person from purchasing an illegal handgun and committing an act of violence with the handgun? I mean, we've got to find a common sense approach to where law-abiding citizens aren't restricted, their rights aren't infringed. And we do have the Second Amendment rights, which I support 100%. The battle against police, the police have been made out into the enemies, and they're not. We need to make sure that they're taken care of and that they're fully funded, that they can retain and hire the best of the best. So we don't have any issues like happened a couple summers ago.
Thank you. Candidate Yednock, same question.
Sure, thanks, Jan. I am currently on the gun violence and the public safety working groups, and we're researching, we're listening, and we're debating proposals as we speak. I also spend plenty of time with law enforcement to understand the issues from their perspectives. In many of the cases, violence in our communities can stem from domestic issues. In other areas, it could be illegal guns and gun violence, gang violence, I'm sorry. So, we may need to tailor approaches to different areas where we're having issues. We also have to understand that neighboring states have different laws, and passing a law in our state may not have the intended effect that we hope. So we want to be thoughtful about what is possible, what is a possible solution, and what just merely makes us feel better. We do need to give our law enforcement groups tools they need to do their jobs, and whether that's more funding to enforce the current laws or working with the federal government, or maybe new approaches that we have not yet explored. But these are all things that we're working on right now.
Thank you. Candidate Yednock, this question came from the public. Did Joe Biden win the 2020 presidential election, or was there massive voter fraud?
He won the election without a doubt.
Thank you. Candidate Haskell, same question.
Yes, Joe Biden won the 2020 presidential election. He is currently our commander in chief.
Thank you. Candidate Haskell, what, if any, changes would you like to see the Illinois State Legislature make regarding reproductive health care and abortion?
Well, I'm pro-life, but with the legislation that has been passed, and with the majority that the Democrats have in Springfield, that to me, there's nothing that could be done on my end. And that's why I want to focus on safer streets, responsible spending, and government transparency.
Thank you. Candidate Yednock.
Well, I would just say that individuals should have full bodily autonomy and make their own reproductive choices. Oh, full stop.
Thank you. Candidate Yednock. The Workers' Rights Amendment on the November ballot in Illinois specifically guarantees workers the right to organize and bargain collectively and to negotiate wages and working conditions. Do you support this amendment? Why or why not?
I do support the Workers' Rights Amendment, and part of it was the reason I ran in the first place, when we had a governor that shut down services, shut down the budget for 3 years almost, and put us on the brink of bankruptcy. That was the reason why I got involved. We know that through plenty of data and studies show that when you have the access to be in a union and your right to be in a union, you have better outcomes. And it's even bigger for people of color, minorities, women. So having the right to join and form a union is fundamental to me.
Thank
you. Candidate Haskell, same question.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody should have the right to collectively bargain for better wages and fringe benefits for their, from their employer, which is what the National Labor Relations Act of 1935 creates. It's a federal labor law that has jurisdiction over this matter at hand. I don't think we need Amendment 1 to be changed to our Constitution. I think that takes us down uncharted paths. There's a lot of unknowns, and I believe, Lance, you even agreed that there were some unknowns about it, about what could potentially happen. I mean, ultimately, I think that it gives a select few with a political agenda a lot of power. And I just, if the Chicago Tribune put a no endorsement on it, so that's pretty precedent.
Thank you. Candidate Haskell, what steps should the legislature take to address the teacher shortage in Illinois?
Oh, what can be done? I mean, it's a serious problem. Teachers aren't treated fairly. My parents were teachers. My mother, she's a retired public school teacher. She taught English and sponsored National Honor Society. My father was a calculus teacher before he became an administrator. So I saw what they dealt with every single day. The phone calls that they got at night from the angry parents that why isn't my kid passing? They're underappreciated, that's for sure. They need a lot more money. And maybe that sparks interest into the field of the teacher profession again. But how do we get more money when majority of the money that we spend goes to pension problems?
Thank you. Candidate Yednock, same question.
Sure. Well, we can certainly invest in more programs like they're trying in some of the other university areas, like the Education Career Pathways program and the Educator Rising programs. And so we can try to get to students earlier in their high school career and get them interested in education. Passed a few measures the last couple of years to try to mitigate the problem by letting substitute teachers work longer, trying to get paraprofessionals in at 18. We can certainly talk about, vocational type training where we can get, younger students to, while they're studying to be educators, come in and work in the classroom, and maybe we can pay off more of their loans. I would support using more of our funds to try to get them to just, go to the university, go to college, and become educators. And certainly, we have to listen to teachers. We have to quit doing top-down policies and make sure that they have the agency to tell us what works best.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Candidate Yednock. What do you see is the biggest challenge regarding mental health care in District 76? How would you begin to address it?
Well, the biggest challenge in healthcare, I would say, is that we just have a lack of resources. It's challenging when people that are trying to help those on the streets or those that are having mental issues try to find us somewhere just to go and have some treatment, whether it be in treatment or out treatment. We don't have enough social workers. We don't have enough social agencies that are doing this. I could say that we could spend a lot more money doing this, but we also have to find psychological and social workers. I would like us to see the same thing like I would with teachers. Maybe we can go earlier into their high school careers and get people interested in these professions. They certainly need to be paid better than what they are. And of course, that means there's a trade-off. But if we don't have more resources in order to let people have the help that they need, we're going to continue struggling.
Thank you. Candidate Haskell, same question.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that that's a program, that's a service that had to get cut. And it's unfortunate. I'm going to circle back to our debt crisis, and not even just pension crisis, but the wasted spending. When we don't get it, when we're not fiscally conservative with the money that we generate, and we just hand it off with no checks and balances, it forces programs that are so detrimental to the health and safety of our communities. We got to do something. Springfield's a mess. We have to do something about it.
Thank you. So before this forum started, I told you that I got a whole bunch of questions from the DeKalb League, and we've been through them all. That's 15 questions worth. So it's time to start for the closing statements. So Candidate Haskell, you have a minute.
Well, again, everybody, thanks for having us, have this civil discourse. Lance, I want to give you a shout out. We've had a very clean campaign, and I hope we can keep that up. A lot of feedback that I'm getting is that people are really liking how things have been. And that just shows that we're not in it for politics or ourselves. We're in it to really make a difference. And I just ask that you get behind somebody that hasn't been in office for 2 terms, that needs to make drastic changes, that's willing to make drastic changes, willing to take on the tough fiscal changes that need to be made.
Thank you. Lance Yednock, your closing statement.
Sure. Sure. Thank you, Jen. Thank you for the kind words, Jason. There are many differences between our communities and as well as we candidates, but now it is up to you, the voters, to decide whether who will represent you with integrity, understanding, and who has the drive to actually learn and serve from our communities. If you want more information on me, I would ask you to go to my Facebook page, Lance Yednock for State Representative, where you can contact me personally. I want to certainly thank all the League of Women Voters and all those who attended to hear us out on this. I appreciate everybody's time.
Thank you. Our time is up for this forum. Your participation as a candidate and as a voter is essential to preserving our freedom and our country. For more information, please visit the nonpartisan website, illinoisvoterguide.org, where the recording of this forum will be posted on each candidate's page. Please remember to vote on or before November 8th. We thank the candidates, the Voter Service Committee, and WNIJ for organizing this forum. Thank you all again.
Thanks.
Thank you.